everyone, it's Silver Wings, and today I wanted to do a little special here on some beautiful coins that I picked up. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about these coins, which to me are also beautiful pieces of art. These coins were inspired by the artist Alphonse Mucha. And Alphonse Mucha did quite a lot of what they call Art Nouveau type of art. And so I wanted to go over that a little bit with you all. The first coin that I picked up, which I'm sure a lot of you have seen and some of you probably might have in your collection, is the jaw poster. And this one here was the first one I purchased. This was an ad that he did. I believe it was for a cigarette type ad. It's a beautiful silver coin, beautiful picture that he had done. On a lot of these pieces of art that you'll notice, he did a lot of exaggeration on the hair. They used to call some of the prints with all the hair noodle hair, because he liked to take the hair and exaggerate it and make it look a little bit more curly, wavy, a little bit more accentuated. So that's what he did on this specific picture. Now, I went to a coin show recently, and they did have a print for this. Actually, it was the poster that he'd made. I'm not sure if it's a reproduction. I think it would be the original for the price they had it at. And I believe the price was about $15,000. So I believe the price was pretty high, so I'm assuming it was an original poster. So that was that one. Now, that's the first one I purchased. Well, this is the dancer. A beautiful, beautiful picture that he had done. Again, if you look at the hair, it's a little exaggerated and takes up a lot of the actual coin. So in the poster, he liked to fill in the blank spaces and, you know, stuff like this, flowers, hair. Beautiful little piece. So I loved this one so much, I decided, you know what, I'm going to try and get a 5-ouncer. So here is the 5-ounce dancer. It's a beautiful coin. Now the reverse here is Alphonse Mucha. And so I'm going to give you a little information about Alphonse Mucha. Did just a little research. I wanted to find out who he was and what his artwork entailed. So I picked up this one. This was, I believe it's called Champagne. This one is a beautiful piece also. I think he did a nice job on this one as well. Again, he fills up the space with the flowers and the hair, and nice job. So that's those are to me, what I call the silver art pieces, beautiful pieces. So I wanted to talk a little bit about who Alphonse Mucha actually was. So Alphonse Mucha, on July 24th, 1860, in Moravia, which is now considered the Czech Republic. He was born into poverty, and what was interesting is they said that the home that he lived in, the building that he lived with his family, was also shared with the local jailers. So that was pretty interesting. He was given an education. At 11, he joined a boys' choir for about 3 years. He later became a clerk, and he loved art as well. So at that time, he also worked as a set designer for theater. In 1879, he went to Vienna to study art. A couple years later, the place where I guess he was studying had burnt down, so he moved from there and he continued to paint and act and do portraits. He met up with a Count Cuin, who gave him a job to do frescoes, and to do frescoes in a castle that he had. Count Cuin actually paid Alphonse Mucha to go to art school, so the dime was on him because he believed in him. He wanted to continue, and he thought he would benefit from the fact that, hey, if I give this guy an art education and he does well, I can sell his art. So he did that, and did that for a while, but then I guess in '89, Count Cuin decided to stop all the funding to Alphonse Mucha. So he went and he moved out into a hotel of a Madame Charlotte, who had a kind of like a hotel for struggling artists. So she welcomed him. He was able to stay there. There he met Paul Gauguin, who lived there and worked with him. They became good friends. He was later hired by a magazine to do some work. And his big break came when he was at a studio. And he was there during the holidays, so nobody really was there except for him. Sarah Bernhardt, who was very famous at the time, was looking for somebody to do a poster to promote her play, and she needed it by New Year's Day, so this is Christmas time. Alphonse decided, hey, I'm going to take the opportunity, make the poster. His boss at the time, I guess, saw the artwork that he did for Sarah Bernhardt, and it was different, and he was not crazy about it. He thought, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? My reputation is at stake. But, you know, they couldn't do anything about it. They used his art. They went ahead and printed it as it was, and Sarah Bernhardt loved it. So she hired him to do more prints. They became very popular to the point where people were actually stealing them. As soon as they'd put it up with glue, you know, people would come out, and before the glue dried, would pull it out, things like that. He continued his style. He created his brand. He became popular. He did some other prints, the Four Seasons, the Four Precious Stones, and he became famous for these type of posters. He was hired by companies, Nestle's, food companies, liquor companies, champagne companies, and therefore you have all these prints that he had done for these companies. They called it the decorative movement, and it was art for the masses. So it was, you know, either for advertising and also where people could actually buy the prints. So he created prints that people could afford. His style became Art Nouveau, new art. He disliked this because art was constantly changing, and so he didn't think it was appropriate for his art to be called new art, Art Nouveau, because it would constantly be changing. You know, originally he just wanted to do art from his heritage. He wanted to do art for his heritage, from his country, but it wasn't something that he was hired to do, so he had to make a living, and he made a living off of what people wanted. He decided years later that he would return home to Prague. You know, after, you know, he studied, he taught, but his main love was to return home and do art for his heritage, and eventually he did that. And for 20 years, he worked on something called the Slav Epic series. And so for 20 years, he did this huge canvas prints. I mean, humongous, which, you know, took 20 years for him to do this series of called Slav Epic on his country. And even then, he still did, even though he was popular, he didn't become as famous as he wanted to become. He didn't feel, I guess, that he was as appreciated, you know, for his art that he originally wanted to do. And then in 1939, he was arrested by the Gestapo. When the Germans came in, he was one of the first ones they took. And he didn't last much after that. He ended up dying soon after that. So that's the story of Alphonse Mucha, a great artist, known for Art Nouveau, known for doing a lot of poster prints for companies, for the masses, and yet it wasn't something that was his love or what he intended to do. So he did marry, and his son has actually been working on promoting his father's work to keep it alive. So that's it on Alphonse Mucha. Just a little bit, a quick synopsis of it. And yeah, and that's it. Hope you enjoyed the quick little tidbit on Alphonse Mucha. And I certainly love these coins and appreciate it a little bit more now that I know a little bit more about him. So that's it. Have a great day. Enjoy life. Love those around you. And let's continue silver stacking. Alrighty. Bye-bye.